The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Jessica Chen stepped onto the crystalline platform, her boots echoing across the vast amphitheater. 200 alien species watched her with everything from curiosity to contempt. The humans were the newest addition to the Council, a primitive species that had only achieved faster-than-light travel 30 years ago. "The Council recognizes the human delegation," announced High Arbiter Velkoth, his 6 eyes blinking in sequence. "You have requested emergency session. State your purpose." Jessica's jaw tightened. "The Krell Dominion has launched a full-scale invasion of our colony worlds. 17 settlements have been attacked. We're here to invoke Article 7 of the Galactic Charter, the right to collective defense." A wave of chittering, buzzing, and electronic translations filled the chamber. The Krell ambassador, a towering insectoid creature, rose from his seat. "The humans settled on worlds within Krell territorial claims. We are simply reclaiming what is ours." "Those worlds were uninhabited wastelands when we arrived," Jessica shot back. "We followed every protocol, filed every claim. The Krell ignored our request for negotiation and went straight to military action." Velkoth's voice boomed across the chamber. "The Council has reviewed the territorial claims. The matter is ambiguous. However, military action before exhausting diplomatic channels is concerning." He turned to the Krell ambassador. "Dominion, you will cease hostilities immediately and enter binding arbitration." The Krell ambassador's mandibles clicked in what Jessica had learned was laughter. "With respect, High Arbiter, the humans are not a military threat. Their fleets are small, their weapons primitive. This matter will be resolved before your bureaucracy can file the first document." Jessica felt her blood turn to ice. She had tried to warn them. She had tried to tell them that humans didn't approach war the way other species did. But they wouldn't listen. "High Arbiter," she said quietly, "I formally request a 30-day period for the human government to respond to this aggression." "Granted," Velkoth said. "All parties will—" "We decline," the Krell ambassador interrupted. "We will not halt our righteous reclamation." Jessica locked eyes with the insectoid creature. "Then you've made your choice. This council will reconvene in 30 days. I promise you, Ambassador, the situation will be very different." Captain James Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the UNSC Retribution, watching the tactical display with cold calculation. Around him, 200 human warships held position at the edge of the Krell home system. 30 days had passed since Jessica's address to the Council. 30 days that the Krell had used to press their advantage, destroying 3 more colonies. 30 days that humanity had used to remember what it was. "All fleets report ready, Captain," his XO announced. "Earth Command confirms weapons free." James thought about his daughter who had been on one of those colonies. They'd found her name on the casualty list. She was 7 years old. "Send the message," he said. Across every Krell communication channel, on every frequency, a simple statement broadcast in their language: "You wanted war. Now you'll learn what that word really means to a human." The Krell had spent 10,000 years as a spacefaring civilization. They understood war as a measured thing, fleets meeting in designated zones, objectives captured, surrender terms negotiated. War was an extension of diplomacy, a way to resolve disputes when talking failed. Humans understood war differently. The human fleet didn't target the Krell military vessels that scrambled to meet them. Those would come later. Instead, 36 ships broke formation and jumped directly to Krell industrial worlds. Their weapons, crude by galactic standards, still using explosive propellants and nuclear warheads, rained down on factories, shipyards, and supply depots. But it was the electronic warfare that shocked the Krell most. Human AI systems, developed through centuries of hacking and cyber warfare on Earth, tore through Krell networks like they were tissue paper. Banking systems collapsed. Supply chains evaporated. Even the environmental controls on orbital stations began failing. "Captain, Krell Command is broadcasting surrender terms," his communications officer reported. "Ignore them," James said flatly. "Target the command carriers." "Sir, they're trying to surrender." James turned and his officer went silent at the look in his eyes. They had their chance to stop. They chose to keep killing. Now we show them what total war means. Now we show them what annihilation looks like. 23 days later, Jessica stood before the Galactic Council again. This time every eye in the chamber was fixed on her with something approaching fear. "The human delegation will explain," Velkoth said, his voice shaking slightly. "Why, the Krell Dominion's military capacity has been reduced by 94%. Why their industrial base has been completely destroyed. Why 300 billion Krell are now dependent on humanitarian aid from other Council species." Jessica felt the weight of what her species had done. She felt the eyes of 200 civilizations that had spent millennia believing they understood warfare. "We tried to warn you," she said simply. "We told you we wanted peace. We begged the Krell to negotiate. We asked this council for protection." She paused. "You did nothing. You told us the matter was ambiguous. You told us to be patient while our children were being killed." "But this level of destruction," one ambassador began. "Is what war means to humanity," Jessica interrupted. "Every species here thinks of war as a tool, a measured response. You have wars with rules, with limits, with the assumption that tomorrow you'll still need to trade with your enemy." She looked around the chamber. "Humans don't think that way. When we go to war, we don't fight to make a point or win a concession. We fight to eliminate the threat completely and permanently. We fight as if our species' very survival depends on it. Because for most of our history it did." The Krell ambassador, looking diminished in his seat, spoke with a broken translator. "We would have accepted terms after the first defeat. We tried to surrender." "You attacked our civilians," James said, stepping forward to join Jessica. His uniform was still stained with the grime of war. "You killed our children. Did you think we would stop when you decided you'd had enough? We stopped when you could never threaten us again. That's the human way." Velkoth's 6 eyes focused on Jessica. "What does humanity want from this council?" Jessica straightened. "Recognition of our territorial claims, immediate membership on the Security Council, and a new understanding. Humans prefer peace, but we are exceptionally good at war. We will be good neighbors, reliable allies, and fair traders. But if you threaten us, if you harm our people, we won't defeat you." She let the words hang in the air. "We will annihilate you." The chamber remained silent for a long moment. Finally, Velkoth spoke. "The Council grants these requests, and we propose a new designation for humanity in galactic records." "What designation?" Jessica asked. "The species that must never be provoked." Velkoth's voice carried a note of respect that hadn't been there before. "Welcome to the Security Council, Ambassador Chen. May the galaxy never again forget what humanity is capable of." As Jessica and James left the chamber, she leaned close and whispered, "Do you think they finally understand?" James looked back at the assembled species, all of them carefully avoiding eye contact with the human delegates. "They understand that humans don't fight wars," he said quietly. "We annihilate enemies, and they'll never make the mistake of becoming our enemy again." The door sealed behind them, leaving the Galactic Council to contemplate the newest and most dangerous addition to their ancient civilization.